dying, that's how they are placed. When in hospital, whenever, it is mustahab to visit a person who is unwell. Iyadatul Marid is amongst the best of the ibadat. Marid ki iyadat karna बहुत बड़ी बात है. On every step that you take, your sins are forgiven. हर कदम पे इंसान के गुनाह है कबीरा माफ होता है. There's a hadith that says, hadith Qudsi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in it, that Abdi, O my servants, why did you not visit me when I became sick? ए मेरे बंदा मोमिन, जब मैं बीमार हुआ तो मेरी इयादत के लिए क्यों नहीं आया? On the day of judgment. So the servant will say, Subhanak, मुनज़्ज़ह है तेरी ज़ात, पाक है तेरी ज़ात, तो बीमार नहीं होता. का मेरा बंदा मोमिन बीमार हुआ था, अगर तू उसकी इयादत के लिए चला जाता तो तुझे अर्श आज़म में मेरी ज़ियारत का सवाब है. इतना बड़ा सवाब है. That's also someone of mine became sick. If you visited him, then you would get the thawab of visiting me on my throne. That's how much of thawab it is to visit a person who is sick. Now, so when you visit a person who is not well, then you usually ask them how they are, and you usually pray for them. A person who is unwell, their prayer is accepted. Now you come to the person who is unwell, a person who is dying, it is mustahab to make them repeat certain words. Shahadat, unse कहलवाई जाए. So you usually ask them to say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. So you make them say Shahadat, the names of the 12 Imams. You make them say that they believed in the books, the Talqeen. You make them say all of those words. खुदावंद खुदा की वहदानियत की गवाही लें, खुदा की नबूवत की गवाही लें, और फिर 12 अइम्मा अलैहिस्सलाम की इमामत को उसको याद दिलाएं कि आप 12 इमामों के मानने वाले हैं. क़यामत के मुतालिक बताएं कि तुम 2 फरिश्तों के मानने वाले जो खबर में आएंगे, सब कुछ कुरान में मानते हैं. And you place them like this, on their back, their feet towards Qibla. This is an obligation. It is amongst the wajibat. Why their feet towards Qibla? So when the person gets up, they are facing towards Qibla. So their root gets up and it is facing Qibla. Now, इंसान के बहरहाल सबको में एक वक्त आना, this will come for all of us, that one day we all die, so this is the reality of life. Now, when a person is dying, you place them like this, and if they cannot lie down on their back, then you turn them towards their right hand side and then make them face the Qibla. If they can't go on their right hand side, then you turn them on the left hand side and then you make them face Qibla. In this country it is quite simple. When a person is in the hospital, then they have a moving bed, then it is easier. But in other countries it does become a bit difficult. So here usually the hospitals are very cooperative. I've been so many times, they cooperate very well. When a person is dead, and after their death you usually place them like this. Now when you go to the hospitals, the mortuaries, जो सब खाना कहलाता है उसमें, सब खाना, the mortuary, they do not have them in the direction of Qibla. They have them in all sorts of directions. यहाँ पे 2 direction में रखा हुआ है. लेकिन we've had, alhamdulillah, I've led a number of organizations get their own cold room facing the direction of Qibla. So they have it in the direction. So we have first one had in Stanmore, then in Birmingham, both of them are the Fawzi Jamaat and the Punjabi Jamaat, in the Dara Jafri, and then alhamdulillah a number of centers have in the Shia centers. Before we had to either get help from Sunni brothers, or the normal mortuary doesn't even have them facing Qibla. Okay. Now when a person has died, so this is the first obligation when they are dying. Second obligation is ghusl. Okay. So 5 obligations we'll talk about very quickly. This is only for gents, so I don't need the microphone. मुझे microphone की ज़रूरत तो नहीं है, आप लोगों को सवाल आता है. अगर थोड़ा सा इसको आगे ले आएं, so we can all see. Now, the first obligation is making them face the feet towards Qibla. Second obligation is Ghusal-e-Mayat. There are a number of ghusls wajib. One of them is Ghusal-e-Mayat. Ghusal-e-Mayat. When a body becomes cold, when a person dies, the body still remains warm. So if you touch them while they're still warm, Ghusal-e-Mayat does not become wajib. And once the Ghusal-e-Mayat has been given and you touch the body, then Ghusal-e-Mayat does not become wajib. Ghusal-e-Mayat कब वाजिब होता है? जब जिस्म जो है वो ठंडा हो जाए. अभी भी गर्म है तो वाजिब नहीं होता. गर्म आपने जिस्म को छुआ मैयत को तो फिर वाजिब नहीं होता. लेकिन जब वो ठंडा हो जाए और अभी Ghusal-e-Mayat नहीं दिया गया, उस दौरान अगर आप जाके छू लें मैयत को कपड़े के बगैर कहीं पे भी, तो फिर आप पे Ghusal-e-Mayat वाजिब हो जाता है. So if you touch the body without a cloth between you and the skin, then Ghusal-e-Mayat becomes wajib. Okay?
So it doesn't matter how long it takes to get cold. I mean,
Doesn't matter.
Because I remember it's all the days they do. Doesn't matter if it's warm or cold.
If the water or the body?
I mean the body, you know, when he died, we would take them to Ghusl.
Yes.
Straight away.
Well, it doesn't matter. Even if they are still warm, you can still give them Ghusl. Once they are dead and it is confirmed, it is mustahab to do it as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Okay? To has ta'jeel, the Ghusal-e-Mayat is mustahab. Jaldi Ghusal-e-Mayat karna mustahab. Not to delay. Unless there is no confirmation of the death. Agar shak ho ke Mayat abhi zinda hai ya mar gaye, if you have a shak that they are still alive or dead, then you can delay it. Ya kisi ka intidar ho, ya kahin muqaddas jagah pe le jana ho. Now, ghusl, how you do your own ghusl? You know the wajib ghusl?
Yeah.
Ghusl-e-Juma or Ghusl-e-Janaba, or any other ghusl? Ghusl-e-Tartibi. Okay? So Ghusl-e-Tartibi, how you perform, that's how the ghusl of the Mayyit is performed. So the entire head and face. But before you start the ghusl, there are 3 ghusls wajib for the Mayyit. But before you do the 3 ghusl, you wash the body with soap and everything, so everything, all the medicine, if they had any, or if they had any dirt, or anything like that, agar chiknai kuch ho, sab kuch remove kar dein. If you have any grease or anything, remove everything from the body. So wash it. Usually they wash it with either shampoo or soap. They wash the entire body and they remove everything which was on the body. ठीक है, एक मतलब पहले नहला दें ताकि जो कुछ भी है वो सब remove हो जाए. उसके बाद फिर ghusl शुरू करेंगे. There are 3 ghusls wajib. The first one is with sidr, beri ke patton ke saath, with berry leaves. Second one is with kafur, and the third one with pure water. Okay, aab khalis ke saath ghusl le jata hai. So there are 3 ghusls of the mayyit. So usually many times, if you don't close the mouth of the mayyit when a person has died, ab jab intiqal ho gaya, then you usually close the mouth, band kar dein. Kyun? Within moments the body becomes stiff.
Yeah.
And if the mouth was open, and usually it becomes loose and it becomes wide open. So try and close the mouth straight away and tight. And make the hands straight, make the fingers and everything straight. So if they died tight or something like that, so usually just open up their arms on the sides and their legs. And people usually who die in illnesses, people who die in strokes, usually their legs are bent or their hands are bent. So just open them up.
After they've died. But if for example you get there after 1 hour or something,
तो once they become stiff, then you can't. मेरा point ये है कि अगर आप death के time पे मौजूद हैं, तो once they've died or say they're dead, straighten up their hands, fingers, everything. Remove everything, because once they are tight and closed, you won't be able to make them straight. Okay. So usually you move their neck straight, and their hands on the sides, and their fingers, open them up, and their legs, open the legs up straight. Now then starts ghusl. First one with the, you just wash the entire body, and then usually you place a cloth on their private parts, so you don't see them. It is not allowed to see the private parts. Now it is mustahab to remove the clothing, not by opening, but by ripping them off. You cut them and you remove all the clothing. So kapde kaat ke utar dein. Or for women, the women can only give ghusl, and for men, only men can. मुमासलत शर्त है. मर्दों को मर्द ghusl देंगे, ख़वातीन को ख़वातीन. बच्चा हो अगर गैर मुमय्यिज़ बच्चा हो, if the child was of a differentiation age between good and bad, like 6, 7, 8 onwards, then again only men can give ghusl to. But if they were little children, then women can give ghusl to either boy or girl if they were very small.
What's the minimum age of giving a ghusl? For instance, what's the minimum age of giving a ghusl?
Even if there was a miscarriage, and if it was in a condition where you could give ghusl, then ghusl is wajib.
And what about somebody giving a ghusl?
as long as they are baligh, they can give ghusl.
Okay.
So after 9 and as long as they know the ahkam, then they can give ghusl. So they are baligh, girls 9 and boys usually 15 lunar calendar years, but usually 12, 13. Okay. Once they become baligh, they can give ghusl. Now, ghusl becomes wajib as soon as the child is born. Ghusl and kafan are wajib, but namaz-e-mayyit only becomes wajib after the age of 6 and 7. So namaz-e-mayyit is not wajib until for a small child. Okay, but it only becomes wajib after 7. तो कैसे करेंगे? So close the mouth and everything. उनको try करते हैं. Many times if they've left open, मुंह खुला रह जाता है तो फिर वहाँ पे कुछ cotton या कोई cloth वगैरह रखते हैं. और फिर उसके बाद शुरू करें. Usually once they've died, we try and close the eyes. Many times they won't close off, so you try and keep them closed and they just open again. So you try and close the eyes as well. आंखें बंद करने के बाद जो आंखें खुले में मर जाते हैं वो आंखें खुली रह जाती हैं, जिनकी आंखें बंद मरती हैं वो आंखें बंद. Okay, so usually if the eyes are open, they don't close off easily. Okay, so you try and close your eyes and it takes a bit of time before they just remain closed.
You can't think about it.
No. Okay. It is makruh to put any weight on the mayyit and keep removing all any insect or anything like that, or any mosquitoes or any flies that come. Okay. Now, so you basically pour water. Anyone give a ghusl, they must do niyat. Okay. I do the niyat of giving ghusl to this mayyit. If you know the name, then the name and the father's name. I'm giving ghusl to Ali Raza Rizvi, for example, son of Waqar Abbas Rizvi. Yes. Then you start wajib qurbatan ilallah, and the person pouring the water does the niyat. जो पानी डाल रहा है उस पर नियत वाजिब है, जो हाथ लगा रहे हैं उन पर वाजिब नहीं है. But it is mustahab that everyone involved in the ghusl, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, they all do the niyat. They all make the intention. सब पे नियत करना बेहतर है. एक जो पानी डाल रहा है उस पर वाजिब है, बाकी सब पे मुस्तहब है. बेहतर है कि सब करें. बहुत लोग कहते हैं कि नहीं, एहतियात ये है क्योंकि they are all taking part, then they all should make niyat. मैं ghusl करता हूँ इस मय्यत का. If you don't know the name, then you make intention that I'm giving the ghusl to this mayyit, wajib qurbatan ilallah, or just qurbatan ilallah. You just make intention. पानी डालेंगे सब पे पूरा चेहरे के ऊपर. You make sure that you rub all the hair, the ears, the back of the neck, because it's usually down. So you lift it and you wash the entire neck up to the end of the neck. So you pour the water. It's mustahab to touch. Now many times if they had food before they die, अगर खाना खा के इंतकाल होता है तो usually they just keep vomiting. The food will keep coming out, and if they were bleeding, the bleeding will not stop until they lose all the blood. अगर कहीं कट हो जाता है, usually they go through surgery and they die, they will keep bleeding. Okay, तो उनकी bleeding होती रहती है, उनके खून नहीं रुकता, the bleeding does not stop. So what do you do if they have bleeding? Then you put a plaster or something like that to stop the bleeding. You cannot give them ghusl on top of the bleeding. Okay, while they're bleeding, खून बह रहा ऊपर से पानी नहीं डाल सकते. खून को रोकना लाजमी है. जितना हो सके उस पर टेप लगाते हैं, कुछ भी करेंगे उसको रोकेंगे. And usually when they are vomiting, or if they've had food for some time and they did not use the washroom, then they will pass excretion from the back passage. तो आप सब कुछ धो लें और एक मरतबा usually press कर देते हैं ताकि जो हैं वो they are clean, because otherwise they will once you finish, then when you try to move, they'll usually either vomit or they will usually pass urine or excretion. All of those things happen. What you see inside the ghusl place, it is not allowed to be related outside. जो इंसान अंदर देखता है वो बाहर आके बताना जायज़ नहीं है कि लोग बताएं वो जो मैं भी मय्यत दे रहा था वो ऐसा था, उसका जिस्म खराब हो गया था, वो वॉमिटिंग कर रहा था, ये जायज़ नहीं है. एक हद तक के the respect and honor of a mu'min, dignity of a mu'min is so much so even after in their life and after their death, that post-mortem is not allowed, and relating the things that you see about them outside is not allowed. It is haram. Okay, just to show respect to the mayyit. Okay. Now, so you. Yes.
Sorry, you said post-mortem is not allowed, but in this country.
Well, if it is the law of the land, then majburi, then it is something out of our hands. It is, you can't break the law of the country. Now, when you mix the sidr, the leaves. She basically, when you get them and place them in the water, it makes some fluff. Now, it should not be so much so that you say that this is not water anymore. अब ये पानी नहीं रहा, इतना उसको जो है आप उसमें झाग बने कि आप कहेंगे अब ये पानी नहीं रहा. नहीं, पानी रहे, लेकिन कोई ये ना कहे देखने के बाद इसमें सिद्र के पत्ते नहीं हैं. So it should not, when people look at it, they don't say that, oh, there is no sidr leaves in it. And they should not say that it is not water in it. Okay? So there should be enough, but it should remain water. And you place that first water, so basically it stops the insects from coming to the body. Okay? Sidr ka jo hai isliye usse ho jata taki wo keede na khaye. So first water, then you wash the right hand side. And you make sure that you wash more. And then you wash private parts on both sides. Right side पे भी जब ghusl दे रहे हैं तब भी सारे के सारे उसमें पानी डालेंगे. And you do not touch and you place water, but you make sure that the water gets everywhere.
Okay, so you place the cloth on
A
top.
cloth.
And over.
And when you want to turn them over, you usually bring a hand over, you bring the leg over, and then you turn them respectfully when a person on that side turns them over. Okay? That's how you turn them over. You don't just drag them, because then they will either fall or they will usually, if they drop and something breaks, they're dead already. So you try and move the hand, you try and move the leg, and then you turn them over. And then you place the piche bhi pani dalenge. Piche bhi again, you keep everything covered, and then you place the water to make sure that everything on the back and the front on the right hand side is washed.
How do you make sure that the water goes to the private part?
So you basically, you place it hard,
Okay.
you know, yes.
Okay.
So you keep pouring water. अभी तो आजकल तो यहाँ पे वो होते हैं, यानी ईरान के अंदर तो, you know, they have it connected to the sidr water, connected to kafur water. उनका काफी बड़े पैमाने पे. यहाँ पे भी हम लोगों को we still have to mix and throw with the utensil. So you make sure that the water gets everywhere. You wash right hand side, then you make sure similar left hand side. पूरा उसी तरह से आप, you do everything on the left hand side, you turn over, and then you turn them over, and then wash all of the hand, armpits, everything on left hand side.
So the cloth of the private part, the water has to be over the cloth.
The cloth is thin. So usually it's covered.
Can you make a hand?
To make sure that it gets
inside.
And if you're wearing gloves, then you can touch. But if you're not wearing gloves, then you can't touch.
Okay.
You can't touch private parts. But you can touch the rest of the body. The rest of the body you can.
But the rest of the body can be touched with the gloves?
Yes.
So it's better to have gloves.
Well, in this country they want you to have gloves anyway.
Okay.
Okay, hygienically they want you to have, you know, touching corpse is not. Okay. So once you wash, this is first ghusl, finished. With sidr.
Okay, one thing before ghusl, do you have to remove hairs or anything?
No.
Nothing.
No. Any hair that come off, you place them in kafan with it. Any hair that come off, nails, anything that comes off, usually if the body is decomposed, I've had many bodies that have been, I'm not saying any names, so I can tell you, that have died for weeks, sometimes months, and the family did not know. I had a family that came and said, well, you know, Maulana, we have a body, can you come and see if ghusl can be done? I went in and I said, no, you can't do ghusl because the entire body had decomposed. Pura jism jo kharab ho chuka tha. And I asked them, they said, no, we want ghusl done. I said, we can't. No, we want the ghusl. I said, look, this body cannot be washed. They said, well, what will the people think? I said, don't tell the people. Just do tayammum, give kafan, and you can't. They said, no, we want the ghusl. I said, okay, look. I got two people. I said, try and wash it very quickly. If the skin starts to come off, then stop. Because it's not allowed. So they started washing it. Because the body was still cold, the skin wasn't coming off. I said, very quickly, just wash it. When they started, within 2-3 minutes, they quickly came to me and they said, the skin is coming off. I said, stop. Just do tayammum. Now you try and do tayammum with the body, but usually they are so stiff, you can't move it. So what you do is, you do the tayammum with your own hands, and then you turn around from the other side and do the tayammum on the face of the mayyit and on the hands. Okay?
Just the face and hands.
That's it. Tayammum jaise karte hain, jaise apna karte hain. You remove all the rings, and that's it. Wahi mayyit hi karna. Lekin you'll have to do, some say one is enough, but most of the fuqaha say you'll have to do 3 in replacement of 3 ghusls. And you'll say this is the replacement of the first ghusl, sidr. This is the replacement of ghusl of kafur, the third one with the pure water. Now you get kafur, you get the, you know, kafur to the camphor. Kafur, you mix it with the water, so the water still remains water and there is still kafur in it. You get that water and then you do exactly the same thing. Second ghusl, and now third ghusl with pure water. Khalis. Yes, al-mal khalis, you know. Aabe khalis se, pure water se, khalis pani se bilkul आप ghusl देंगे तीसरा. Now ghusl is complete. First obligation was that you make them place Qibla. Number 2, ghusl. The 3 ghusls together make 1 Ghusal-e-Mayat wajib. Okay. Number 3, hunoot. Okay. Hunoot is you get the kafur, dry kafur. You now usually just get a cloth and usually they get the towels or something like tissues. In the kitchens these days. So you get a lot of those and you don't dry, you just place so the water comes off very quickly. Okay? Once the body is entirely dry, you get kafur. That's called hunoot, the third obligation. Hunoot karna wajib hai. You place kafur on 7 places of sajda. The forehead, so you mesh it up and you place it on the forehead like that. So you do the niyat. Ghusl mein jaise wajib ki dusra ghusl karta hu, I'm doing the second ghusl of kafur wajib qurratillah. I'm doing the third ghusl of pure water khalis qurratillah. Now you say I'm doing the hunoot for this mayyit wajib qurratillah. So you get the kafur and you place it on the forehead. Okay? It is mustahab to mix some khaki shafa. But that only should go on the forehead, on the palms, not the knees and the feet. But kafur is wajib on all 7 parts. So first the forehead, then usually sometimes the palms are closed, so you try and open and place it inside. ऐसे होता है जैसे बास्केट जो उम्मन फारिज वगैरह में चले जाते हैं उनके हाथ बंद होते हैं बहुत ज़्यादा. तो आप कोशिश फिर भी करेंगे कि जितना हो सके अंदर हाथ में उसकी हथेली में लगा दें, जितना खोल सकते हैं इतना. बट ऐसा नहीं कर सकते कि अजियत हो. कोशिश पूरी करेंगे कि हाथ में जाए, पहले राइट पाम में फिर लेफ्ट पाम में, फिर ऑन बोथ ऑफ द नीज, राइट लेफ्ट. फिर उसके बाद द टोज ऐसे बाकायदा ऊपर पकड़ेंगे और ऐसे मय्यत के राइट एंड लेफ्ट दोनों पे आप लगा देंगे. दिस इज हुनूत. थर्ड ऑब्लिगेशन फिनिश्ड. टाइम मेरे पास नहीं, सारे मेरे में खड़े नहीं. चलिए 3 obligations now. The 4th obligation is kafan, and the 5th obligation is namaz-e-mayyit, salat-al-mayyit, and the 6th obligation is tadfeen. Okay, so there are 6 altogether obligations. Now I'll tell you quickly all of those as well. But now kafan is the most difficult part. But there are 3 obligations and there are many mustahabbat. Wajibat are 3, mustahabbat are many. 3 kafan ki wajibat hai. The first is a cloth. There shouldn't be any stitching or any buttons or anything like that. You get 3 cloths. The first one will be mezar, qamis and izar. All together there are 3 parts. Long जिसे कहते हैं, तो जैसे धोती बांधते हैं, लुंगी बांधते हैं, कैसे बांधते हैं? Now कफन कर देते हैं. ये आ रहा है ना, साहब ज़ारत वाला है. ओके, वो थोड़ा सा उसका एहतराम की वजह से कुछ दुआएं और वो नहीं वो दोषण कभी वगैरह लिखे उसको नहीं लगा सकते ना, वो कहने क्योंकि मोमेंट वैसे ही वो है, उसकी तौहीन होती है. Now the first cloth is from the belly button to the knees. Okay, what you do, you place some cotton on the private parts and then you remove that cloth. Okay, and each time you start a new ghusl, change the cloth, because mayyit is mayta, mayyit is najis. So you remove the najis cloth and you place a clean one. Okay, मुर्दा जो है वो जो नजासत है 11 उनमें से एक है मुर्दा. Okay, so you keep, now you place a lot of cotton and usually they will remove it to another place and they have the cloth ready. So what you do is, सबसे पहले जो सबसे बड़ा है ना, the biggest piece, you place it on the ground. सर तसर जिसे कहते हैं. Basically that should cover the entire body. So there's a cloth which is as big as, well, much bigger than the body. So you can tie it when you close on the 2 ends. You tie a knot. So there are 3 knots. So you first place 1 knot here, the second one there, and the third one here. Okay? Then you place a big cloth. Usually what we do is we have 2 or 3 cloths, so we can't see through them. 2-3 कपड़े होते हैं. पहले यहाँ पे वो जो रस्सियाँ बांधनी होती हैं उसको वो रख लेंगे यहाँ और वहाँ. 3 मुस्तहब. रस्सियाँ कपड़े ही पट्टी बांधते हैं ना, आपने देखा मय्यत में बंधी भी होती है. बांध से नहीं, सिर्फ 3. एक यहाँ पे बांधते हैं मुस्तहब है, और एक ऊपर सर के ऊपर और एक पाँव से नीचे, ठीक है। 3 आपने जो है बाकायदा वो कपड़े के रखने हैं जिससे आप बांधेंगे बाकायदा मैयत को।
जमीन में बिछा देना,
ज़मीन पे नहीं या जैसे स्ट्रेचर पे, बड़ा स्ट्रेचर होता है उमर हमारे हम गाँव में है, बड़े बड़े स्ट्रेचर्स होते हैं, वहाँ पे बाकायदा मैयत रखी होती है। तो यूजुअली हैव अ बिगर स्ट्रेचर, दिस इज स्मॉल, सो यूजुअली यू कैन हैव द एंटायर बॉडी इजीली, यू कैन गिव शरार। मैनी हमारे पास ऑन द ग्राउंड, वो अपने उनके नीचे कारपेट वगैरह बिछे हुए होते हैं, वहीं पे वो फौरन कपड़ा ज़मीन पे बिछाते हैं और वो नीचे जो है पहले क्या करते हैं, आप कफन नीचे ज़मीन पे बिछा लें, 3 धागे रखेंगे, 1 2 3, वो जो 3 कपड़े के, फिर उसके बाद वो जो सर है पूरी की पूरा आप बड़ी चादर वो ज़मीन पे बिछा दें। सो यू गेट द बिग क्लॉथ एंड यू प्लेस इट ऑन द ग्राउंड, बिछा दें। 2-3 उसकी लेयर्स अमूमन होती हैं, इतनी होगी कि पूरी बॉडी को भी कवर करें इन लेंथ और इन विड्थ। जब बंद कर दें दोनों तरफ से तो मैयत पूरी कवर हो जाए। सो इट कवर्स द एंटायर बॉडी इन द लेंथ एंड इन विड्थ, ठीक है। उसको बिछा दें बिल्कुल पूरी तरह से। उसके बाद फिर कमीज को बिछा दें। कमीज इज यूजुअली अ क्लॉथ दैट द मैयत विल हैव, so you basically cover it into 2 halves. It will go through the neck, so you make a hole and you put the neck through it, and it is covering the back and the front, and it's called shirt, qameez, but it basically has no stitching, no. So it basically covers the back up to shins and the front, so the neck goes through. So usually you have it on the ground and they have folded up, the people who do kafan all the time, and there's a hole inside, so as soon as you place the mayyit, you bring it over.
yeah.
Now, so you have that. So first the 3 knots, then you have the big sheet, then you have the qameez, and then you have the izar, the smallest part, which is going to be covering from the belly button up to the knees. Now, so you place those, you place the cotton at the back, in the front, and then you usually bring them over, yes, और जैसे एक you tie them in, जैसे ऐसे डालेंगे, and you do not make a knot, yes, ऐसे उसको कर देंगे up to the belly button, so you cover everything up to the belly button, and then it is mustahab to not just leave it like that. You can leave it up to the knees, but usually they will have 2 or 3 cloths, so you tie it around.
Okay.
So you tie it around so it does not come off. जब हम रोज़ा क़यामत उठें तो हमारे बाकायदा वो कवर्ड होगा सारा. So you've closed off, and then the second one you just go over. Then you pull the shirt. So before the kafan as well, what do? You do the niyat. Kafan de raha hu is mayyit ko aaj pad dena. Yes, you start the niyat. You do the qameez. You bring it from through the neck, covered at the back and at the front. Ek shirt. It is mustahab for women to have a quilt and for men to have an amama. Burda Yaman is mustahab, so at the top you just place a cloth with Yoshin and Kabir, Yasin and other things. But an amama usually is tied, and you usually with some cotton and some cloth get a pomegranate branch, anar ki taraf ki branch nikale. There are some dua, sometimes you can write, and you place it in the right hand side. Okay. So then you get the qameez is done, then you get the final. You first the right and the left, then you close it off from all the way. Then you tie the middle knot, the top and the bottom knot, and the knots are tied, and that's what you usually have. Everyone?
No, the person who has done the ghusl can do the same, and he will have to do the Ghusal-e-Mayat. Okay.
If he did not wear gloves.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because if I have covered my gloves and I touch,
It makes sense.
Equally, water can, you use plain water can come.
splashing on you,
Yeah.
so you can just wash those clothes, but Ghusal-e-Mayat does not become wajib.
What type of gloves can be on the bottom?
I
Say like they should not go over.
No.
Below the
Usually
top.
what happens is that once we are buried, the first thing that busts is our tummy. So then the du'as and all of those things should not become najis. So usually we just say place them on the chest and above, face and chest. But सीने पे रखते हैं दुआएं, जोशन कबीर and all that. So they do not ever become najis. Once the body blows up, जब ताकि जनाजा जब मैयत आहिस्ता से जो डिके होती है, फट जाता है जिस्म, तो वो फिर जो दुआएं, जोशन कबीर, यासीन, कुरान, उसके ऊपर नजासत ना जाए, इसलिए उसको सिर्फ सीने पे रखते हैं. Because we have chest here, usually we just decay lower below. the ribs and everything stop upper part. Okay. Now, so कितनी वाजिबात हो गई? पहले इhtidar, then we have the ghusl, hunud, kafan. Now the fourth one is mayyit, ghusl-e-Mayat, janaza, namaz-e-Mayat, salat-e-Mayat. Can we just turn it around? This is the direction of Qibla. Okay. So usually the person standing here, for men, they usually stand in the middle, and for women towards the chest. Okay. Now I'll go and stand. If you want to all come and see what I'm reading, on that side you will know I'm reading Namaz Janaza. Namaz Janaza is wajib, Salatul Mayyit wajib, Qurbatanillah. If you don't know the name, then you say I'm reading the Salatul Janaza of this Mayyit, wajib, Qurbatanillah. Okay? I'm reading the Salatul Janaza, Namaz Mayyit of this Mayyit, wajib, Qurbatanillah. Now usually it is mustahab to stand as close that if the wind blows your clothes, so your clothes come and hit. So if you usually see the ulama, and they usually try and do that. Yes? So they usually try and see how far they are standing. If it's the Qibla, the head should be on the right and the feet should be on the left. That's how the body is placed. On their back, head and feet. As-salatu lil-mayyit. There is no adhan, there is no iqama. It is mustahab to say just like in Eid. For mayyit, you say salat 3 times. As-salat, as-salat, as-salat. Okay? And then you start. There are 5 takbirat which are wajib. 5 takbirein कहना. Takbir कहते हैं Allahu Akbar को. 5 martaba wajib. Before the first one, you do the niyat. I'm reading the namaz al-mayyit, salat al-mayyit of this mayyit, wajib qurbatillah. मैं इस mayyit का जनाजा पढ़ रहा हूँ, wajib qurbatillah. उसके बाद कहेंगे Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Arsalahu bil haqqi bashiran wa nadhiran bayna yaday as-sa'ah. Allahu Akbar. Okay? Second takbir. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa barik ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad warham Muhammadan wa ala Muhammad ka afdali ma sallaita wa barakta wa tarhamta ala Ibrahim wa ala Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid wa salli ala jamil anbiya wal mursalin wa shuhada wa siddiqin. Mustahab. Sirf wajib part mein sirf padh deta. I'll only read the wajib part now. Again, sorry. I'm reading the namaz janaza of this mayyit wajib part. Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Allahu Akbar. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. الله أكبر. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. الله أكبر. اللهم اغفر لهذا الميت if it is a man and هذه الميت if it is a woman. اللهم اغفر لهذا الميت. الله أكبر. I only did the wajib. It is as short as that. But mustahabbat are many. Okay? Now I'll very quickly do the first janazah that I was reading. The first 2 takbirat you heard me. The shahadatain, and then Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, and then third Allahumma ighfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat wal muslimina wal muslimat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat tabi' Allahumma baynana wa baynahum bil khairat innaka mujibat da'awat innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. Allahu Akbar. Allahumma inna hadha al mustajab qaddamana 'abduk wa ibnu 'abdik wa ibnu amatik nazala bika wa anta khairu manzulin bih. Allahumma in kana muhsinan fazid fi ihsanihi wa in kana musii'an fatajawaz 'an sayyi'atihi waghfir lana wa iyyahu برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين. اللهم اجعله عندك في اعلى اليين واخلف على اهله في الغابرين واحشره مع من يتولاه ويحبه وابعده ممن يتبرأ ويبغضه. You can read so many.
But the wajib part is just
the first.
No, in the fourth.
اللهم اغفر لي هذا الميت and هذه الميت if it is a woman. Now how many wajibat done? 5. The next wajib is tadfeen. Okay, tadfeen. The burial part. The grave, it is mustahab to have it as deep as a normal height. So about between 5 to 6 feet. You can have less, so long as that you cover and the animals can't get to it and the smell will not come out. So you can have 3, 4 feet, but it is mustahab, the height of a normal person, about 5, 6 feet. So you dig, and the qabr is like this. It is not facing the feet towards Qibla. It is, that's how you place. This is the grave, that's Qibla, and that's how you place the body inside the grave. Okay? On the right hand side. So you first take it in, and usually because in this country they do not allow the people to go inside the grave, and many times they do allow you, and some cemeteries do not allow you to open the coffin. Handle, I've been to so many in London. So it is mustahab that a person, this is now grave. Now usually mustahabbat mein bata raha hu aapko. So usually a person goes inside the grave and they place their right hand on the right shoulder and the left hand on the left shoulder. Isma ifham talqeen. They will hold and someone will hold them from behind and they will say Isma ifham, Isma ifham, Isma. Listen and understand. Sun samaj. Because of the pain of death, the mayyit forgets everything. So you remind them that they have died and they believed in one God, they believed in the Holy Prophet, they believed in 12 Imams, they believed in the hereafter, they believed in the Holy Quran, they believed in Kaaba to be their Qibla, they believe in the tatayur of, the accountability of the Day of Judgment and the two angels that will come to the grave and they will ask questions. So you remind them all of those things in Talqeen. Okay? So you remind them, and once you've reminded, you've basically open up the 3 knots, and then you open the face, and usually mahram for women. So then you place them, there is a grave, so you place them next to the grave so they do not roll back, or they do not slip, or they do not trip over. So you place it in such a way that they are right next to the grave, and their face and the front part is towards Qibla. That's how it is. This is the tadfeen. This is the dafn of Mayyat. Did everyone get that?
Namaz janaza, when you're doing, how high the mayyat should be? Or if you are on a higher
You can have it on the ground, you can have it on a coffin, you can have it on a table, you can have it anywhere.
If someone said like it should not be higher than, I saw somewhere, then he was reading certain height or something.
Yeah, it should be in front of you, not above you. Not on a, on a scale or something like that, and you are behind. No, it should be right in front of you.
So there's no problem if this slope is like going there and like
No, it doesn't
people
matter.
in the back are...
No, the person leading should not be higher than the people behind him. No more than 4 fingers. So less than that.
जमात ही वैसे भी वो है ना,
इमाम जमात जो है
हमेशा नीचे
नमाज
होना
पढ़ाने वाला लोगों से मामूमीन से बुलंदी पे नहीं हो सकता। मय्यत का मसला नहीं, पढ़ाने वाले का मसला। पढ़ाने वाला 4 उंगलियों का एक नॉर्मल है, उससे ज़्यादा ऊपर नहीं हो सकता, नीचे हो सकता है. He can be lower than the people he is leading, but can't be higher than the people he is leading.
वे कुछ चीज़ कि इस मुल्क में पोस्टमार्टम तो हो रहा है. We were having a postmortem, but if now there's a trend that some people donate their organs. First of all, is it allowed?
No, it's not allowed.
For us, it's not.
You in your lifetime you can donate an organ, like
while you're alive.
While you're alive. But after death, you can't say that take my eyes out, give my heart to someone, take my liver out, right? After the death, you can't.
You even can't make a will then after my death.
Well, there are some people are saying that you can to save life and everything, but generally in the Shia fiqh, it is not allowed to torture the body once they are dead.
Yeah.
It is not allowed to do anything to the body that would say that this is disrespecting the body, torture. For a mu'min, for a Muslim, not for kuffar. Because a lot of them actually, we have doctors coming in now asking issues that can, a lot of the Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, and many of the Christians now are saying, I want cremation. So they usually sign that you can cremate. Is this allowed? For a non-Muslim, you can. But for a Muslim, it is haram to cremate a Muslim's body. Okay? And you cannot even authorize it. You cannot take part in it, and you can't make a will for yourself or take part in and carrying out cremation for someone else. जो हिंदू, सिख और बुद्धिस्ट और बहुत से ईसाई हैं वो जिस्म जलवा लेते हैं ना, उसको उनके मुहतरम नहीं है, उसमें कोई हरज नहीं है, लेकिन मुसलमानों के जिस्म को जलाने में, मदद करने में या खुद अपने लिए करने में
पूछने जैसे अपनी ज़िंदगी में इंसान को पता है कि वो नहीं बचेगा और उस वक्त वो डॉक्टर को डोनेट कर दे मरने से पहले, तो वो पॉसिबल है कि नहीं है वो चीज़ डोनेट?
देखिए, 2 तरह अपने ज़िंदगी के अंदर दे सकता है, बट एनीथिंग दैट टेक्स अवे द लाइफ, जैसे हार्ट है जी, अगर उसका हार्ट निकालेंगे तो मर जाएगा.
ठीक है.
अब डॉक्टर अगर मुसलमान है तो उसके ऊपर जो है वो कत्ल का हद उसके ऊपर है और एहसास और दियत है एक ज़िंदगी लाइफ लेने की, और नहीं है तो फिर वो, लेकिन ऐसी वसीयत नहीं कर सकता. खिलाफ शरीयत वसीयत नहीं. Even you, first of all, you can't make a will which is against Sharia. You can't say, okay, once I die, burn me, cremate my body. मेरा जो है वो क्रियाकरण कर दें, जला दें जिसको. ऐसी वसीयत जो खिलाफ शरीयत तो नहीं कर सकते. And even if someone makes such a will, you can't follow it. Anything which is against Sharia, you can't say, well, he made a will, so we'll burn him now. No. His will is not acceptable which is against Sharia. किसी की जो वसीयत खिलाफ शरीयत हो, वो नाफिज ही नहीं है, उस पर अमल नहीं कर सकते. ये नहीं कर सकते मुझे उसने वसीयत की थी कि मुझे आग लगा देना. वो खिलाफ शरीयत वसीयत जो है नाफिज ही नहीं है, उस पर अमल नहीं कर सकते. Any question before?
One last question. One last question. So you mentioned that if the body was bleeding, put a plaster on. Now, should that be taken before the coffin is put on, or?
If it's still bleeding, then it will not be removed.
Okay.
If it starts bleeding off, the coffin should be park.
Yeah.
अब क्या होता है कि मतलब कि उनकी ब्लीडिंग होने लग जाती है, कुछ हो जाता है और दोबारा नजिस हो जाता है, उसको पाक करना वाजिब है. या मिसाल के तौर पे मरने के बाद फिर उनको यूरिनेशन हो जाए, पेशाब निकल जाता है या कुछ और ऐसा हो जाता है, तो वो नजिस हो गया, उसको दोबारा कफन पाक देना वाजिब है.
Kafan and ghusl or
They will be given a new shroud. अगर उनकी ब्लीडिंग हो जाती है, if they have bleeding, if they pass urine or anything like that, then you have to remove them.
Kafan and ghusl or just kafan?
No, just kafan.
लेकिन कुछ केसेस में से गोली वगैरह लगती है, उसमें तो ब्लड अक्सर रोक
वो
ही नहीं
क्या
रहा
होता है कि रोकते हैं उसको किस न किस तरीके से. जैसे मैं एक जगह गया था, उनका head, he had an accident and he was bleeding through head. So what would you just place a plastic or something like that? They usually have very hard to stop the bleeding and things from coming out. You try as much as you can. Okay.
गुस्ल कफन के बाद वो जो बेरी का होता है लेल की तरह, वो
तीन चीज़ें. There are three. एक तो अनार का मुस्तहब है, खजूर का और बेरी का. Either of the three are mustahab to place fresh, ताज़ा.
On the right hand side?
Sorry?
On the right hand side?
On right hand side.
उसको रुई या
कपड़े से, कफनी के कपड़े से. You usually tie it with the cloth of the kafan. Usually if you can, these days no one does, but write either kursi on it. If you don't, write anything. So long as that remains fresh, the mayyit will not be punished. Azab nazil नहीं होगा जब तक वो ताज़ा रहेगा. And if the mayyit is not punished in the first night, the mayyit will not be punished. अगर पहली शब में अजाब नाजिल ना हो तो फिर अजाब नहीं आता.
इसीलिए नमाज वहशत जो है,
नमाज वहशत का कबल मुस्तहब है, फिर आदत मुस्तहबात का टाइम जो है वो खत्म हो गया.
आपने कहा कि वो प्लास्टर लगा दें, प्लास्टर लग गया है, मतलब जख्म है तो उस प्लास्टर के ऊपर से भी गुस्ल हो सकता है.
अगर ब्लीडिंग हो रही हो तो वाजिब है. हमें जिंदगी के अंदर भी क्या होता है, अभी मेरा हाथ कटा हुआ है, ब्लीडिंग हो रही है, मेरा गुस्ल ही सही नहीं है, आई हैव टू स्टॉप द ब्लीडिंग, मुझे उसके ऊपर को प्लास्टर ही कुछ लगाना पड़ेगा. उसको कहते हैं वुज़ू बिल जबीरा. ओके, जबीरा के साथ है, पट्टी के साथ उसको. इसी तरह से मैयत को भी ऐसा नहीं हो सकता ब्लीडिंग हो रही है आप उसमें पानी डाल कहते हैं हो गया मैंने पानी डाल दिया. नहीं, ब्लीडिंग रोकना वाजिब है. ब्लीडिंग हो रही होती है मर्दों के. अभी हमारे पास आते सर्जरी हुई हुई, हार्ट सर्जरी हुई है, ड्यूरिंग द सर्जरी द पर्सन डाइड. अभी उनके सारी वो लगी हुई है, नाली लगी हुई है, पाँव की उसमें ट्यूब्स, ये वो सब कुछ साइड ऑफ ट्यूब्स लगी हुई हैं. आइए मेरे पास मैयत, एनीथिंग यू रिमूव दिस स्टार्ट टू ब्लीड अगेन. अगर आप उसको उतार दें वो ब्लीडिंग शुरू हो जाती है, उसको नहीं उतार सकते. उसी के साथ हमने गुस्ल दिया, उसके साथ हमने कफन दे के उसको जो है रख दिया. नहीं कर सकते. मैं जब रिमूव कर दें तो ब्लीडिंग रुकती ही नहीं. मरने के बाद तो इंसान के अंदर वो खत्म हो जाता है ना.
सल्लल्लाहु मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद. सब